Hello from Mindset Daily, wishing you a day full of health, peace, and happiness. Thank you for watching the Mindset Daily channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much.
Have you ever noticed that the loudest people often have the least to show for it? What if real success wasn't something you announced, but something you quietly built? And what if the work no one sees is exactly what shapes the life everyone admires? Most people think success should arrive with trumpets blaring and crowds cheering. They want everyone to watch them climb, to witness every small victory, to validate each step they take. But I've learned that the strongest trees in the forest grow in silence. Nobody applauded the mighty oak when it was just a fragile acorn pushing its way through the soil. No one gave it a standing ovation when it braved its first harsh winter. And yet, there it stands today, majestic, unshakable, and admired by all. That is exactly what building yourself quietly is about. It's about knowing that the foundation for extraordinary achievement is not laid in the spotlight, but in the shadows of private discipline. It's about what you do when no one is watching. Let me ask you this. When the world isn't looking, what choices do you make? Because that's the truest reflection of who you really are. That private version of you determines how far you will go, how high you will climb, and how much you will achieve. The person you are in the quiet moments inevitably becomes the person the public sees. I remember meeting a young man years ago who dreamed of being successful. He spoke of it endlessly, his plans, his ambitions, his grand visions. Every time I saw him, there was another announcement about what he was going to do. But talking took the place of doing. 5 years later, he was still in the same spot, repeating the same dreams, the only real change being the volume of his voice. Meanwhile, there was another man, quiet, humble, almost invisible. He made no bold proclamations. Instead, he showed up every single day. He read his books. He practiced his craft. He saved his money. He improved himself in small, deliberate steps. And 5 years later, everyone was suddenly talking about his overnight success. Isn't that fascinating? The loud one stayed exactly where he was, while the quiet one moved mountains. When you build yourself quietly, you can devote your full attention to the work itself instead of chasing recognition. And that's where the real progress happens. I have a life philosophy that has served me well. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Most people get this backwards. They put all their energy into their job, yet invest very little into themselves. But here's the truth. If you grow yourself, success will follow naturally, without force. Building yourself quietly means investing in your mind, your body, and your spirit without needing applause from anyone. It's choosing to read books that challenge and expand your thinking when you could be sitting in front of the television. It's saving money when the easier choice is to spend it. It's exercising discipline when comfort is calling your name. Let me share the power of small, consistent improvements. Tiny disciplines, practiced daily, lead to extraordinary achievements over time. Most people overestimate what they can accomplish in a single year, but underestimate what they can achieve over a decade. That is the miracle of compound interest, applied not only to your finances, but to your entire life. Imagine improving yourself by just 1% each day. At first, it doesn't sound like much, does it? But over the course of a year, that 1% growth compounds until you are 37 times better, not just 365% better. That's the quiet magic of compounding. It happens so gradually that most people around you won't even notice until the evidence becomes too undeniable to ignore. Now, let's be clear. Building yourself quietly doesn't mean becoming invisible or insignificant. It doesn't mean hiding your life away. It means placing substance over show, depth over display, and consistency over noise. Some people mistakenly think it means never promoting your ideas or sharing your work, but that's not it at all. It means doing the work first, becoming exceptional first, creating real value first, and then allowing that value to speak for itself. When you truly have something valuable to offer, you don't need to shout about it. Excellence is its own advertisement. Mastery naturally creates its own publicity. Integrity, over time, opens doors you could never force open. And I've seen this play out over and over again. The more genuinely successful a person is, the less they feel the need to talk about it. They don't have to convince you of their importance, explain their work, or defend their character. Their results speak with an authority that words simply cannot match. There's another crucial aspect to building yourself quietly, learning to separate yourself from the constant noise of mass opinion. The truth is, the majority is almost always wrong about most things. If you want to achieve what the majority will never have, you must be willing to do what the majority refuses to do. Most people drift through life by accident, like leaves blown in every direction by the winds of circumstance. But building yourself quietly means choosing to live by design, not by default. It means taking full responsibility for the course of your life instead of pointing fingers at outside forces. I remember a conversation I had with my mentor, Mr. Skay, many years ago. At the time, I was complaining about taxes, the economy, and my circumstances. All the usual excuses we tend to cling to. He stopped me and said something that forever changed my perspective. "Jim, don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for fewer problems. Wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge. Wish for more wisdom." Those words hit me like a bolt of lightning. In that moment, I realized my focus had been completely misplaced. I was looking outward, blaming conditions, when I should have been looking inward and working on myself. I was waiting for life to improve before I improved myself. And that's the heart of building yourself quietly, taking complete responsibility for your growth, regardless of what's happening around you. It's about becoming the kind of person who can handle whatever life decides to throw your way, rather than hoping life will only deal you favorable cards. Easier challenges? Life simply doesn't work that way. Let me talk to you about the seasons of life, because understanding them is essential if you want to build yourself the right way. Life isn't one endless summer where everything grows without effort. There are winters of difficulty, springs of opportunity, summers of growth, and autumns of harvest. The truth is, most people want to skip the hard seasons. They dream of going straight from planting to harvesting, but that's not how life works. You cannot avoid the seasons. You can only prepare for them. And that preparation doesn't happen loudly. It happens quietly, consistently, day after day. Winter is the season of preparation. It's when you study, plan, reflect, and strengthen yourself for the challenges ahead. Unfortunately, many people waste their winters complaining about the cold instead of using the time to prepare for spring. Don't fall into that trap. Spring is the season of opportunity and decisive action. Opportunities will bloom all around you, but you must be ready to act quickly. And the only way to seize those opportunities is to have prepared during the winter. Summer is the season of work and perseverance. It's when your discipline is tested by heat, fatigue, and temptation to quit. Many people start with enthusiasm in spring, but abandon their efforts in summer when the hard work begins. Building yourself quietly means having the strength to keep going when others walk away. And finally, autumn is the season of harvest and reward. This is when you reap the results of what you've sown. But the size of your harvest depends entirely on the seeds you planted and the effort you put in during the earlier seasons. There's no shortcut and no cheating the process. The beauty of building yourself quietly is that you're always preparing for what's ahead while maximizing the moment you're in. You're steadily becoming stronger, wiser, and more capable, not for display, but for true substance. Let me share 5 areas where quiet building produces extraordinary results. First, your mind. The books you read, the conversations you have, the questions you ask, and the observations you make. All of these shape your thinking. And your thinking shapes your life. Most people allow their minds to stagnate the moment formal education ends. Don't be like most people. I recommend reading at least 30 minutes every single day. But don't just read anything. Choose books that challenge you, stretch your perspective, introduce you to new ideas, and help you understand both human nature and the laws of success. A book can change your life. It changed mine. For just a few dollars, you can access the wisdom of someone who may have spent 20 years figuring something out. That's an incredible bargain. Second, your health. Your body is the vessel that carries your dreams. Neglect it, and you limit everything else you hope to accomplish. Care for it quietly, consistently, and without needing an audience or validation. Eat a little better. Move a little more. Rest a little deeper. Do it not for appearances, but to expand your capacity. Third, your finances. Most financial failures stem from the habit of buying. Buying things you don't need, with money you don't have, just to impress people you don't even like. That's a trap far too many fall into. True financial independence begins with financial discipline. It starts with saving a portion of what you earn, investing it wisely, and living below your means. Not because you want to be miserly, but because you want to be free. I recommend saving at least 10% of your income. It's not because 10% is some magical number, but because it represents discipline, a deliberate choice to prioritize your future over fleeting pleasures. And remember, it's not what you make that determines your financial future. It's what you keep and how you put it to work through wise investments. Fourth, your relationships. The quality of your life is largely shaped by the quality of your relationships. Build them quietly, through a genuine interest in others, by keeping your word, and by being the kind of friend you wish you had. Relationships built on authentic character last, while those built on convenience or self-interest tend to crumble when tested. Fifth, your character. In a world where so many are willing to trade integrity for short-term gain, character becomes one of the rarest and most valuable assets you can possess. Build it not because others are watching, but because you are watching yourself. Your self-respect is worth more than any external validation you might receive. Now, you may be wondering, how long should I keep building quietly before I see results? That's like asking how long you need to plant seeds before you can walk through a forest. The answer depends entirely on what you're building, how consistently you're working, and which season of life you're in. Some results arrive quickly. You read a book and instantly gain a life-changing insight. Others take years, even decades. You invest steadily and one day realize you've reached financial independence. The secret is to fall in love with the process, not just the outcome. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a single year, yet drastically underestimate what they can accomplish in 10. This misunderstanding leads to frustration in the short term and missed opportunities in the long term. Patience, combined with persistence, is an unstoppable force. I've seen too many people quit just before their breakthrough. They worked, they built, they prepared, but when the results weren't immediately visible, they lost faith. They didn't realize that the payoff was just around the corner. Don't let that be your story. Hold on, keep building, and trust that your season of harvest will come. The last chapter of your story hasn't been written yet. And here's another crucial element of building yourself quietly: learning to ignore both criticism and praise. Why? Because both can distract you from the real work. Criticism often comes from those who have abandoned their own dreams and can't bear to watch you chasing yours. It comes from people who misread your patience as a lack of progress, your focus as a lack of vision, and your quiet confidence as a lack of ambition. And while praise may feel more pleasant, it can be just as dangerous. Praise can lull you into complacency. It can shift your attention away from your own internal standards and toward the trap of seeking external validation. Many promising journeys have been cut short by premature celebration, when the applause became louder than the purpose. The solution to both is to develop your own scorecard. Measure yourself against your personal standards, not the opinions of others. Strive to compete primarily with the person you were yesterday, not with the people standing next to you. So why do so many people struggle with building themselves quietly? Because it demands delayed gratification in a world obsessed with instant rewards. It asks for faith when doubt is easier, and for discipline in an age of endless distraction. We live in a culture that celebrates overnight success while ignoring the years of preparation that made it possible. We see the gold medal ceremony, but forget the thousands of hours of unseen training. We notice the promotion, but overlook the countless late nights spent mastering the work that earned it. This creates a dangerous illusion that success should come quickly, that growth should be a constant upward climb, and that results should appear instantly. None of that is true. Real growth happens in spurts and plateaus. You might work for weeks seeing almost no visible progress, then suddenly experience a breakthrough that makes it all worthwhile. You might study for months without seeing any obvious benefit. Then, almost unexpectedly, solve a problem in an instant because of the knowledge you've been steadily accumulating. The plateaus are where most people quit. They mistake a temporary pause in visible progress for a permanent condition. But those who build themselves quietly understand the truth. Plateaus are not stop signs, they're stepping stones. They are the places where conscious learning transforms into unconscious mastery, where the work you've done begins to embed itself deeply. There's another aspect of success that is rarely discussed: the power of silence itself. In a world overflowing with noise, silence has become a rare and powerful competitive advantage. It gives you the space to think clearly, to reflect deeply, to connect the dots, and to hear your own intuition. Some of your greatest ideas, most valuable insights, and clearest decisions won't come while you're speaking, scrolling, or consuming endless streams of information. They arrive in moments of stillness. Building yourself quietly means deliberately creating these pockets of silence in your life. It means setting aside time for reflection, being at ease with your own thoughts, and developing the discipline to do deep, uninterrupted work. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. They fill every moment with noise, social media, television, idle conversation, busy work, and then wonder why they can't hear that still, small voice of wisdom within them. Don't fall into that trap. Instead, embrace silence as a tool for growth. Use it to process what you've learned, to integrate your experiences, and to plan your next moves with clarity. Another essential element of building yourself quietly is learning how to handle failure productively. Everyone fails. The real difference lies in how you respond. Most people try to hide their failures. They feel embarrassed, make excuses, or allow those setbacks to define them. But those who build themselves successfully view failure through a different lens. They see it as feedback, as education, as a necessary step on the road to mastery. I've experienced my share of failures. I've made poor investments. I've launched products that nobody wanted. I've delivered speeches that fell flat. Yet each failure taught me something that success never could. And because I was building quietly, focused on growth rather than appearances, I could take those failures, examine them honestly, and turn them into stepping stones towards something greater. When you fail, and you will, don't waste precious energy trying to hide it or explain it away. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow because of it? How can I use this to become better than before? Then, make the necessary adjustments and keep building. This leads to another vital truth. Building yourself quietly requires a rare but powerful combination: ambition and humility. Ambition without humility easily turns into arrogance. Humility without ambition often leads to mediocrity. Ambition gives you the drive to pursue excellence, to set high standards for yourself, and to keep working when others decide to rest. Humility gives you the wisdom to learn from anyone, to acknowledge your mistakes without defensiveness, and to remain teachable no matter how much you've achieved. Most people lean too far in one direction. Some are so humble that they never push themselves beyond what's comfortable. Others are so ambitious that they stop learning, convinced they already know enough. But the master builder maintains both, hungry for growth, yet humble enough to receive wisdom from any source. Over the years, I've met highly successful people in many different fields. The best among them share this same quality. They are confident in their abilities, yet fully aware of how much they still don't know. They're proud of what they've accomplished, but far more interested in their next challenge than in their past victories. This balance creates a strong foundation for quiet building. It keeps you moving forward without being weighed down by ego. It allows you to handle criticism without being crushed by it. And it helps you celebrate progress without falling into the trap of complacency. But there's another challenge that holds many people back from building themselves effectively: the constant need for. Many people spend their lives waiting for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, the perfect set of circumstances. And while they wait, life quietly passes them by. The truth is, conditions are never perfect. There will always be some challenge in your path, some obstacle to overcome, some excuse to postpone your own growth. Those who build themselves successfully understand this. They don't wait for ideal conditions. They create progress with whatever they have, wherever they are. If you can't afford the best education, you use the public library. If you can't find a mentor, you immerse yourself in biographies and learn from the greats of history. If you don't have an hour each day to exercise, you use the 15 minutes you do have. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. This resourcefulness is a defining trait of quiet builders. They don't make excuses, they make progress. They don't waste energy complaining about what they lack. They leverage every resource they already possess. They don't wait for permission, they take initiative. I remember speaking with a successful entrepreneur who had started his business with almost nothing. No connections, no capital, no prestigious education. When I asked him how he overcame these apparent disadvantages, his answer stayed with me. He said, "I didn't see them as disadvantages. I saw them as constraints that forced me to be creative. My lack of resources became my greatest resource because it made me think differently. That is the mindset of someone who understands how to build quietly and effectively. They turn limitations into launching pads. They use resistance not as a barrier, but as a force that strengthens them. Now, I want to touch on something subtle but deeply important: the relationship between who you are and what you attract. One of the least understood principles of success is that you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. So many people focus on what they want: the better job, the ideal relationship, the financial freedom. But they fail to see that these things are drawn not by desire alone, but by worth. Your value in the marketplace will always be determined by the value you bring to the marketplace. Building yourself quietly means shifting your focus from chasing what you want to becoming the kind of person who naturally deserves it. It means developing the skills, the character, and the mindset that pull opportunity toward you, without you having to beg for it. If you want a better job, you focus on becoming more. If you want to be more valuable where you are, focus on growth right where you stand. If you want better relationships, become a better friend. If you want more income, learn to solve bigger, more meaningful problems. The external rewards you're seeking are nothing more than a reflection of your internal development. This principle explains why some people appear to have all the luck, while others constantly struggle. It's not luck, it's alignment. When who you are matches what you seek, opportunities seem to appear almost like magic. But make no mistake, this alignment doesn't happen by accident. It comes from intentional, consistent, quiet building over time. Let me share 5 key disciplines that can dramatically accelerate your growth as you build yourself quietly. The first discipline is daily learning. Commit to learning something new every single day. And not just gathering random bits of information. Seek insight. Information without application is nothing more than entertainment. Look for knowledge you can use, wisdom you can apply, and ideas you can test in real life. The second discipline is thoughtful reflection. Set aside time regularly, ideally every day, to think deeply about what you're learning and experiencing. Ask yourself questions that matter. What went well today? What could I have done better? What did I truly learn? And how can I apply that tomorrow? The third discipline is purposeful association. Be intentional about the people you allow into your circle. You're influenced by your environment far more than you might realize. Surround yourself with people who are already where you aspire to be, who challenge you to grow, and who support your highest ambitions. The fourth discipline is courageous action. Knowledge without action holds no real power. Reflection without implementation produces no change. Take consistent, bold action on what you're learning. Be willing to step into discomfort. Be willing to make mistakes. Be willing to look foolish for a moment if it serves your long-term growth. The temporary discomfort is a small price to pay for lasting progress. The fifth discipline is persistent adaptation. Be ready to adjust your approach based on the results you're getting. What got you here will not necessarily get you there. The strategies that worked at one stage may fail at the next. Stay flexible in your methods, yet unshakable in your purpose. These 5 disciplines, practiced consistently over time, will transform you from the inside out. And that, at its core, is what building yourself quietly is all about. True transformation, not just the collection of information. I've noticed a clear pattern in those who build themselves most successfully. They understand the difference between ends and means, between principles and methods, between fundamentals and tactics. Principles are timeless, tactics are temporary. Fundamentals endure, techniques evolve. Those who build on unchanging principles can adapt to shifting circumstances without losing their foundation. For example, the principle of adding value is eternal. But the way you add value may change drastically with new technologies, market shifts, or cultural evolution. If you understand the principle, you can adapt your methods as needed. If you only know the method without grasping the principle, you risk becoming obsolete the moment conditions change. This distinction between principles and methods gives quiet builders tremendous adaptability. They don't become attached to one rigid way of doing things. Instead, they remain devoted to fundamental truths while staying open to new ways of applying them. In your own process of building, make it your goal to understand the principles behind the practices. Ask yourself why something works, not just. Look for patterns across different areas of life. The deeper your understanding of the fundamentals, the more creative and innovative you can be in applying them. Now, let's address something that causes unnecessary frustration for many people on their growth journey: comparison. We live in an age where the highlight reels of others are constantly on display. Social media floods us with carefully curated images of success from every corner of the world. It's dangerously easy to fall into the trap of measuring your behind-the-scenes reality against someone else's polished highlight reel. Building yourself quietly means developing immunity to unhealthy comparison. It's about recognizing that every person's journey is unique, different timing, different circumstances, different purposes. The only comparison that truly serves you is the one you make with your former self. Ask yourself, am I wiser than I was a year ago? Have my skills grown? Am I more disciplined? More compassionate? These are the metrics that matter. When you catch yourself slipping into comparison, shift your attention back to your own path. Remember, what people choose to show publicly is rarely the full story. That overnight success you see is almost always the result of years, sometimes decades, of unseen effort. And your journey holds value not because it mirrors someone else's, but because it's authentically yours. Let me share something personal. There have been moments in my own life when I stumbled into the comparison trap. I saw others achieving more, earning more, receiving more recognition. For a time, it disturbed my peace. It made me question whether I was on the right path. But then I reminded myself of a simple truth: we are all running different races. We each have different starting points, face different obstacles, and pursue different purposes. The only measure that matters is whether I'm running my race well, whether I'm becoming the person I'm truly capable of becoming. That perspective is freeing. It allows you to celebrate the success of others without diminishing your own. It enables you to learn from their journeys without feeling the need to copy them step for step. And most importantly, it keeps your focus exactly where it belongs, on your own quiet, consistent building. Another essential element of building, another vital part of building yourself quietly, is developing patience with the process. Most worthwhile achievements take time, often far more time than we initially imagine. Impatience is one of the main reasons people abandon promising paths just before those paths would have yielded real results. I've seen this pattern again and again. Someone begins building a skill, a business, or a relationship. They work diligently for a while, but when the results don't come as quickly as they hoped, they start doubting the path itself. Convinced it's flawed, they abandon it and jump to something new, only to repeat the same cycle. What they fail to realize is that success often follows a logarithmic curve, not a straight line. For a long time, you may work and work, seeing little visible progress. Then, seemingly all at once, you hit a tipping point where the cumulative effect of your effort produces dramatic results. If you're doing the right things consistently, you must trust the process. Don't let impatience rob you of the rewards reserved for those who persist. The oak tree grows slowly, but it grows strong. Be like the oak, not like the weed that sprouts quickly but withers just as fast because it has no roots. And remember, this kind of patience isn't passive waiting. It's active perseverance, continuing to do the right things even when there's no immediate evidence of payoff. It's trusting your principles enough to give them time to work. It's understanding that meaningful growth almost never happens overnight. There's also something few people truly recognize: the power of sequencing in personal development. There's a natural order to building yourself effectively, and when you respect that order, your progress accelerates dramatically. For example, wisdom generally comes before achievement. Character comes before lasting success. Discipline comes before freedom. Mastery of fundamentals comes before innovation. But when you try to reverse this natural sequence, you weaken the foundation of everything you're building. Many people want achievement before they've developed the wisdom to handle it. They want success before they've built the character to sustain it. They want freedom before they've cultivated the discipline to manage it. They want to innovate before they've mastered the fundamentals. This backward approach inevitably leads to instability, success that destroys, freedom that enslaves, and innovation that, as you build yourself quietly, pay close attention to the proper sequence of development. Don't rush into the advanced stages before you've mastered the basics. Don't seek the rewards before you've developed the capacity to handle them. When you respect the natural progression, the structure you're building will stand strong and endure. This principle of sequencing explains a lot. It's why some people are able to handle success gracefully while others are destroyed by it. It's why some can manage wealth wisely while others squander it away. It's why some can use power for constructive purposes while others abuse it. The difference rarely lies in the external circumstances. It lies in the internal preparation. It's the quiet building that happens long before any visible achievement appears. I want to address a question that might be on your mind. If I'm building quietly, how will opportunities find me? Don't I need to promote myself to be discovered? This concern comes from a misunderstanding of how opportunity really works. True opportunities don't arrive primarily through loud self-promotion. They come through consistent value creation. When you devote yourself to consistently producing exceptional value, through your work, your character, your ideas, and your service, word begins to spread on its own. The right people take notice. I'm not suggesting you hide your light or refuse to share your work. What I am suggesting is that your main focus should be on making your light shine brighter, on making your work so good it can't be ignored. Quality has a voice that speaks more powerfully than any marketing campaign ever could. Think about the products or services you personally recommend to others. Do you recommend them because their advertising was clever, or because the value they delivered was truly exceptional? Most likely, it's the latter. The same principle applies to you as a become exceptional, and recognition will follow naturally. This approach requires faith. Faith that true excellence is still noticed, that substance still matters, and that real value still speaks for itself. In a world increasingly obsessed with image and appearance, this kind of faith will be tested. But time has a way of proving right those who choose depth over display, substance over show. Let me share with you 6 guiding questions that can help shape your quiet building process. First, what am I becoming? Not just what am I achieving or acquiring, but who am I becoming as a person? This question keeps your attention fixed on internal growth rather than the temporary excitement of external rewards. Second, what problems am I solving? Your value is directly linked to the size and significance of the problems you can solve. As you grow, look for ways to solve bigger challenges, help more people, and create greater impact. Third, what ideas am I exposing myself to? Your mind is shaped by the ideas you allow in. Seek out those that challenge you, that expand your thinking, and that open you to new perspectives you may never have considered. Fourth, who am I spending time with? The people around you influence you more than you may realize. Spend time with those who are already where you want to be. People who inspire you to grow, who hold high standards, and who encourage your best self. Fifth, what disciplines am I practicing daily? Your future is created by your daily habits. Small disciplines, practiced consistently, have the power to create extraordinary results over time. Sixth, what am I contributing? A life focused solely on self-improvement will eventually feel hollow. Look for ways to give back, whether through sharing knowledge, offering help, or creating something of value for others. Use what you're learning to make a meaningful difference. Reflecting on these questions regularly will keep your building process balanced, purposeful, and productive. As we approach the end of our time together, I want to leave you with a perspective that has guided me for decades. Success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. This single shift in thinking changes everything. When you truly understand that success is attracted rather than pursued, you stop the exhausting cycle of chasing. You start building. You stop worrying about how to appear successful and begin focusing on becoming genuinely valuable. You stop centering your thoughts on what you can get, and instead focus on what you can give, what you can create, what you can become, and what you can contribute to others. Building yourself quietly is not about hiding your light. It's about ensuring that the light you shine is authentic. It's not about avoiding recognition. It's about making sure that when recognition does come, you've genuinely earned it. It's not about false modesty. It's about true, enduring substance. The world doesn't need more people pretending to be extraordinary. It needs more people quietly becoming extraordinary. It doesn't need more empty noise. It needs more real value. It doesn't need more superficial display. It needs more depth, more integrity, and more substance. So, let me challenge you for the next 90 days, focus relentlessly on building yourself. Read the books you've been putting off for too long. Master the skills you've been neglecting. Strengthen the disciplines you've been avoiding. Do it quietly, consistently, and with excellence. Don't announce your intentions to the world. Don't seek validation for your efforts. Don't expect applause for doing what you should have been doing all along. Instead, simply build, day after day, with patience and persistence. By the end of those 90 days, you won't need to tell anyone how much you've changed. They'll see it. Your work will speak for itself. Your character will declare itself. Your value will become unmistakable. And that, my friends, is the true power of building yourself quietly. It's not flashy, but it's transformative. It's not quick, but it lasts. It's not easy, but it's worth every step. Remember, it's not what happens to you that determines your future, it's what you become. And becoming happens in those quiet, often unseen moments, when no one is watching but you are working, learning, growing, and developing. So, go and build yourself. Do it with integrity. Do it with intensity. Do it with intelligence. But above all, do it with unwavering consistency. In the end, it's not the grand, dramatic gestures that create an extraordinary life. It's the small, disciplined actions you practice faithfully, day after day. Thank you for your time today. I hope these ideas serve you well on your journey. Wishing you health, happiness, and remember to subscribe to my channel, Mindset Daily.